Right. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I think right now it's 5 past 10. I'm sure we can then jump into the session. So, good morning to all of you, ladies and gentlemen. And for those of you who are joining me for the first time, I just want to say thank you so much. So, today is our last session of our monthly webinar series. And it has been quite a journey from where we started, where your support and your inquiries assisted us in growing our social media presence in terms of also then growing in the right direction. So if it wasn't for that, we wouldn't be where we are. So I'll be looking forward to the following year where we'll be unpacking, more interesting facts as we keep you guys informed and glued to the ground as to what's happening in fleet-based organizations, what to look out for, any challenges, any good things that can happen or happening in that industry. All right. So I think with that being said, I'm going to be just switching off my camera just to ensure that we do not interrupt the system in any way whatsoever. And yeah, welcome to the session and thank you for joining us. So for those who are joining me for the first time, um, just a bit of background about Geotab Africa. Now, as you can see, Geotab Africa is growing at a fast pace, and we have penetrated the market from Southern Africa right up to Egypt, with a few countries in the developing stages of opening up for business. So, Geotab Africa is really all about big data. We have more than 3 million kilometers and more than 40 billion data points collected on a daily basis, right? And currently with over 3.7 million telematic devices in operation. And as we speak, Geotab has a presence on all 7 continents. So feel free to book yourself a demo or just to inquire more about our solution by getting in touch with one of our sales agents or the sales team. All right. So in today's topic, which is unpacking and understanding the total cost of ignorance, what can you expect? So the question that needs to be asked is, what is meant by the total cost of ignorance? The cost of ignorance, or COI, can be defined as the additional operating costs incurred by fleets because of ineffective or non-use of telematics. So fleet management nowadays means monitoring the total cost of ownership, minimizing operational costs, and increasing profitability holistically. And the issues contributing to this cost of ignorance, if neglected or mismanaged, include how services are done, if they are even done at all, how and if the organization addresses safety issues, making uninformed decisions, as well as administrative burden on the entire team. So, from that definition or understanding, one can easily see how ignoring approaching fleeting challenges cost more money, and fleet managers across the globe are making use of telematics in order to reduce and manage high operational costs. My Geotab as a telematic solution will assist fleet operators not only to identify, but to also manage unforeseen costs that harm the company's bottom line. Now, now that we have an understanding of what cost of ignorance basically entails, the next thing then to do is to identify what impacts could it have on your organization if left ignored. All right. Imagine a scenario where every overlooked maintenance task, every inefficient route, and every uninformed decision in fleet management has a price. So, in fleet management, ignorance is not bliss. Consequently, ignoring approaching fleet challenges costs more than stated fleet spending. And the cost of ignoring is the money lost when a fleet operator fails to implement significant business strategies that would increase operational efficiency. Now, it can also then be defined as the additional operating costs incurred by fleets as a result of ineffective or non-use of telematics. And fleet management nowadays, as we said, basically means monitoring holistically from a point of operation, minimizing operational costs, total cost of ownership, as well as increasing profitability. So here we have highlighted the most identified impacts of ignorance in a fleet-based organization now that we have an understanding of what total cost of ignorance is. The first impact is maintenance cost. So studies have shown that 71% of fleet operators find it difficult to manage service intervals. And if you think about it, ignored regular maintenance schedules plus neglected minor issues at the end of the day will definitely result in major breakdowns. Now, there is a word that all fleet-based organizations want to stay away from because with major breakdowns, the direct result that follows is a huge amount of money to be paid, right? So organizations that are mostly affected in this regard are ones that still rely on old and traditional ways of, doing things. For example, managing maintenance processes, still doing things manually and on the paper. And a good fleet management solution must assist in running convenient and business orientated service intervals, keeping track of all the costs spent for maintenances, and to basically keep unnecessary surprises at low. Because we can all agree that those surprises can be extremely costly and harmful to the organization. So, results of poor maintenance processes can put warranties at risk. They can increase unplanned vehicle downtime as well as introduce many other maintenance issues in the long run. So when we're referring to vehicle downtime as one of the impacts that will follow as the result of ignorance, vehicle downtime is the period during which a vehicle is unavailable for use due to repairs, maintenances, accidents or other issues, and if not closely monitored, can have a significant consequence for business and individuals alike. So some of the outcomes when it comes to vehicle downtime are, for example, decreased productivity, where downtime in commercial vehicles directly impacts productivity. Deliveries, services, and operations can be delayed, leading to missed deadline and potential revenue loss. Other issues can be increased operational costs, customer dissatisfaction. And what do I mean by saying customer dissatisfaction? So customers may experience delayed services or deliveries, and this can lead to dissatisfaction. And long waiting times can then tarnish a company's reputation and result in customer loss. Other impacts can be things like impacts on the scheduling overall at the end of the day, decreased employee morale. So employees dealing with constant vehicle issues may become demotivated if you think about it. Frustration due to unreliable transportation can affect job satisfaction and overall morale of, let's say, your drivers in that instance. Okay. Other impacts can be then missed business opportunities, some safety concerns. And when it comes to safety concerns, one can look at it from both a business and individual's point of view. So if the downtime is due to a vehicle accident, concerns about safety may then start arising, and both business and individuals, being your drivers, can possibly face legal and insurance related issues. Fuel expenses are a major part of running a fleet based organization. So, mismanagement of fuel consumption will always have a direct impact on low profit margins. Now, with the price of fuel ever growing, it just does not make sense then for fleet managers to ignore its impacts when it comes to fuel efficiency. And there are many questions that one can ask themselves when thinking of fuel efficiency. For example, do you have Do you optimize your routes that are used on a day-to-day basis by drivers? Does your vehicle selection make sense against the fuel consumption? And by meaning or by asking if vehicle selection makes sense, are we using the right vehicles for the right job? And possibly, are your driving practices, is your driver's driving behavior in line with fuel efficiency? So let's quickly have a look at the impacts of what ignoring fuel efficiency in your fleet will have. Number one, increased operational costs. Reduce profitability and margins. And on a business point of view, when we're referring to reduce profitability, high fuel costs directly eat into your profit margins, right? So for businesses operating on tight margins, inefficient fuel use can severely impact the overall profitability margin. And other issues like environmental impacts, decreased vehicle efficiency, as well as decreased range or flexibility. And what I mean is, inefficient fuel use can reduce the distance a vehicle can cover on a full tank, limiting its operational range. Now, this can impact logistics and planning, leading to inefficient routes or scheduling. And with that being said, one can easily then attach that statement to the next point, which is negative public image because of fuel efficiency. So over here, immediately, one can see how each and every impact resulting from the ignorance will have a domino effect from one point to the next and to the next. And ultimately, at the end of the day, then coming back to the cost of all the impacts put together. All right. So compliance is also then an area of impact with vehicle accident statistics currently in our country. We have seen areas where investigations pending the accidents indicating that a compliance issue has resulted in that accident. And that can then have a hefty financial burden on the organization, not only from the point of repairs or replacing of the vehicles that are included, but now also having to deal with non-compliance issues. And unfortunately, in certain instances, also then the possibility of penalties or hefty fines. Right. And the issues can be things like your legal consequences, a reputation of the organization being at risk, where businesses that ignore compliance issues risk damaging their reputation. Negative publicity can then lead to customer distrust, harming their brand image and potentially leading to decreased sales if you think about it holistically. All right. Other impacts being your operational disruptions, where non compliant vehicles may be impounded, causing disruption to regular operations and potentially delaying deliveries or services. And again, would then delaying deliveries or services, this is where customer dissatisfaction is on the increase. Administrative burden is another issue when it comes to the impacts of the ignorance, where if we look at the outcomes related to the administrative burden as an impact, um, data inaccuracy, this is where, because of the burden, incorrect record keeping is then done. I mean, if you think of manual processes that are prone to errors, leading to inaccurate records of vehicle maintenance, fuel consumption and driver logs, inaccurate data can impact decision making at the end of the day and lead to a lot of inefficiencies. And basically, one can look at it as opening a can of worms. We also then can link administrative burdens to a few compliance issues like regulatory violations, manual administration increasing the risk of non-compliance with regulatory requirements such as reporting obligations, vehicle inspections. Now, the geotab drive then also then comes in where drivers can perform um, paperless inspections, and also then reducing the time it takes from inspections to administrations or fleet management, and solving any defects or issues identified during inspections. And that is then a green light when it comes to your audits, for example, as then it also then abides and in line with compliance. All right. Data overloading is another area that one can also then take into consideration when discussing the impacts of ignorance. Um, when referring to information overload, too much data can overwhelm fleet managers, and this can then make it difficult to sift through the information and making informed decisions. Important insights may get lost in the sheer volume of data. So now, making use of a proper fleet management solution that basically puts a lot of areas into one platform can start reducing the amount of data overload that a fleet-based organization can expect in terms of minimum expectations. And this is where we can also then identify issues of inefficient resource allocation, delayed responses, as well as reduced focus on key metrics. And when referring to delayed responses, as just mentioned now, sorting through excessive data can slow down response times to critical issues, such as your maintenance needs, route optimizations, or even driver performance, leading to delayed responses and potentially bigger problems than what it is. Okay, so the impacts of ignorance in the long run can be seen when it comes to environmental issues affecting employee morale and damaging the reputation of the organization. So, employee morale can be impacted, especially if you think from a driver's perspective, right? So, just put yourself in a driver's shoes. Imagine being part of an organization that does not prioritize your safety, where servicing the vehicles that you drive is not a priority or just done as a tick box exercise. And in the same breath, think vice versa, where my geotab then helps fleet managers to identify bad driving behavior that then leads to unnecessary repairs, that leads to unnecessary accidents. So reputation damage, on the other hand, some companies are known for things like accidents due to bad drivers, late deliveries, and unreliable services due to poorly managed and unreliable services. And negative reviews and word of mouth can impact customer trust, leading to a decrease in business. Now, to answer the biggest question, how does Geotab Africa drive down the cost? A few solutions put in place. Geotab Africa has the following solutions in place to assist in addressing and managing the cost of ignorance. Advanced risk management reports, management of vehicle roadworthiness, and also keeping drivers and other motorists safe. Now, this is just a few of the solutions that have been put to place. Today, we've just identified the key areas and the key solutions. With state-of-the-art technology in the Go devices, fleet managers may control driving habits to improve efficiency and safety, with this solution. And here, fleet managers can proactively address issues including excessive idling, things like harsh driving and reverse driving. And they may also get alerts when there is engine misuse or malfunctioning. By controlling overall driving performance, this reporting tool reduces the expense of ignoring fleet incidents. And overall, fleet managers can customize their reporting experience to suit organizational requirements and freedom in flexibility. So fleet managers can run customized reports that reflect trip history data in order to assist identifying best possible routes, for your day-to-day operations. And in the long run, This will assist drivers to keep a record of, dangerous areas, for example, or even best times for traveling and best routes during the day. So my geotab offers three convenient ways to access your reports. Number one being on the dashboard, which is just a snapshot of all the important reports that one just needs to see at a glimpse of logging into the platform. Then number two, for those important reports that will assist in decision making, this is where managers can access the reports through automated email reports. And lastly, custom data exporting, where you can customize the data that you'll be reporting on your own reports using default templates on the system. So to be on the road, when it comes to maintaining vehicle roadworthiness, every commercial vehicle must be, in excellent condition. And as a result, keeping a vehicle roadworthy is just as critical as all other areas of fleet management. A poorly maintained vehicle endangers a company's interests. And the maintenance solution from Geotab Africa maintains fleet health, arranges inspections, and promotes periodic maintenances. And my Geotab also has a reminder feature that can be used to set up reminders for maintenances, where fleet managers can view upcoming maintenance. And as a result, fleet managers can then practice proactive maintenances, all right? And with dynamic vehicle maintenance reporting, fleet managers can use the free dynamic vehicle maintenance report to set reminder conditions for preventative maintenance based on things like, data, distance driven, or even engine hours. And accessing the reports that identify vehicles due for maintenance, the specific services that they will need, things like oil change, tire rotation, etc. And this report is a simple and effective tool for staying on top of maintenance needs. It helps you to maximize asset utilization and maintenance planning. Okay, so in conclusion of the vehicle roadworthiness report, this report is a simple and effective tool for staying basically on top of your maintenance needs, as highlighted. And lastly, aggressive and after hour driving rules, or aggressive and after hour report. Aggressive habits such as stomping on the gas or accelerating pedal to speed ahead and take or toll, both on the condition of the vehicle and the company's bottom line. Now, enabling these built-in safety rules in my Geotab can help you to combat aggressive driving and for you to reduce then your maintenance costs. And by saying this, this is where you will be diving or focusing on things like harsh braking, hard acceleration from your drivers, harsh cornering, and the after usage rule then prevents extra miles being put on the vehicles when they are supposed to actually be parked for the day or at the end of each and every day. Okay. So when it comes to keeping drivers and assets safe, this is where Geotab takes the idea of fleet management away from fleet managers and also then gives a portion of that element to the drivers, making it then their responsibility in safe practices through in-vehicle or in-cab coaching. For example, using technologies like the Go Talk, this is where drivers will get alerts based on certain events or based on certain rules that they trigger, and thus then resulting in timers reaction as well as correction of their own driving behavior. And all of this then will then catapult in a positive result when it comes to things like proper fuel consumption, proper driving behavior, well taken care of assets, and proper asset utilization at the end of the day. Okay. So using my Geotab and Geotab Africa as a solution will ensure that the total management or fleet management of your fleet is in line, where the result will be cost-effective telematic solutions using state-of-the-art technology and solutions-driven approaches, where each and every client is approached as an individual and on a customized manner, and not on a one size fit all approach. Industry leading insights based on our reports. And lastly, simplified fleet management, where by the use of my geotab and its expandability solutions, um, this is where organizations can then integrate current existing systems into my geotab, making sure that at the end of the day, you are making use of data that is relevant to the organization and will aid your organization in the right direction. All right. So basically, then, in a nutshell, when bringing everything together, the cost of ignorance is far higher than actually preventative action. Making use of the correct fleet management solution, Geotab Africa then assists you to make the correct decisions based on actual data, based on measurable data that will be collected. So with that, get in touch with our sales team just to book a demo, just to see how some of the leading organization in big companies as well as small organizations, why are they making use of Geotab Africa at the end of the day, right? So this then brings us to the end of our session, ladies and gentlemen. But I just want to see if we have any questions that came through from your side. Just give me a second. All right, so I see that at the moment we don't have any questions. Do not worry. Remember that the session is recorded, and if you're catching it at a later stage on our social media platform, like our YouTube channel, Geotap Africa, that's where you can even pose your questions, and our dedicated support team will always be ready to, address some of your questions as quickly as possible. From my side, again, I just want to say thank you very much. Just a reminder, this is the last of our sessions when it comes to our monthly webinar series. So from my side, thank you very much. And I do hope you guys basically close off the year on a high note, and we will be seeing you then at the end, at the beginning of the following year. I think I do have one question that came through. All right, Najim, you've been given the right to unmute. You can unmute and ask your question.
Okay. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
So, I have a question regarding the overspeeding of a thing. I don't know. Is it possible that overspeeding actually have an impact on maintenance costs and all those of course? I really don't get the side. That's why I want to say it.
100%. Thank you very much for that question. So, when you think of the idea of overspeeding, it comes then with a few elements. When you're overspeeding, one can associate that with also then over revving in certain instances. And because a driver is overspeeding, when it comes to reaction time, this is where it has also then been decreased. When I say reaction time, we're talking about the possibility of unnecessary accidents. All right. But then your question is related to how is that related to unnecessary repairs? So, this is where overspeeding can equal to engine abuse, number one. With that, it will increase then operational cost or just your general costs. And number two, overspeeding is then also then going to result in higher fuel consumption as it burns more fuel because of overspeeding and over revving. So when you take all of those elements, put them together, this is where we can start to see that if you put one and add one and add one and add one, there's a lot of costs that are then coming into place. On top of the fact that running a fleet-based organization on its own has a lot of costs. So having unnecessary expenses is the last thing that you would want when it comes to your expenses at the end of the month. That is going to decrease when it comes to your profitability margins. So making use of the right telematic solution like my geotab, this is where it's going to help you to identify all those individual areas and giving you a holistic picture in front of you to say, where are we doing things the wrong way and what is then the right way, or possibly the best practices for my organization. All right. So it's giving you that two steps ahead in terms of stepping in the right direction.
Okay. Thank you very much. So,
The ple-
are you now telling me that my geotab actually can give me an insight on tire management?
100%. So my geotip is then basically going to give you measurable data. And when we're referring to measurable data, we're referring to some of the things I've mentioned in terms of, when it comes to the fleet itself and productivity, are they doing the right things? Are they going to the right places? Are we using the correct routes or the best optimized routes? And the system, again, then gives you the feature of optimizing the routes that you use on a day-to-day basis. And then with that being said, referring back again to measurable data, fuel consumption, which vehicles are using fuel the right way, take those vehicles, compare them to other vehicles that are misusing fuel. What could be the reasons? Things like unnecessary idling or idling over a certain period of time. So now, with all of the conditions that have been laid out, this is where the platform allows you to set rules, to set conditions. And when those conditions are triggered and rules are broken, it is then brought forward based on how you prefer to receive those notifications, either by email, either on your notifications. And then the next best thing for you to do is with those reporting or with that data is what would be then the next best thing or what can we then fix? So it basically highlights the mitigating areas for you. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. I don't know. Is it possible for me to get the material?
When you say material, what do you mean? So if you'd like to get more information, I'm gonna take down, we've taken
Material.
down, sorry?
The presentation material. I just want to have it so I can go through it again.
100%. So basically, you just want to get more information. What I'll do is we've taken down your email address and everything and your contact details. One of my sales teams or the sales agents, account managers will be in touch with you just to also provide you with other additional answers of questions that were not thrown in the session. And basically, then any assistance that you might also then need. Okay. Just tell me, Najim, before you get out of the call, where are you based and where are you from?
I'm from Nigeria.
From Nigeria. 100%. We'll be in touch with you. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much for your questions. Right. Anybody else with questions? All right. So I take it that we don't have questions. Remember, do not feel bad if you didn't ask your questions in the session. You can just follow us on our social media platforms where you will have then the opportunity just to also then engage with us and to learn more in terms of the solution from Geotap Africa. All right. From my guys, ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again. And I will be seeing you guys in the next year. All right, Michelle, I got your message. Thank you so much. It means a lot. And have a lovely day further as well.